Does your child hit when or kick you when you say no? Let's break down why this happens and then what we need to do to actually make a shift in this so that your child can actually respect boundaries without hitting. So it's really common for kids to be hitting and kicking for various reasons. So if we look at a couple of the drivers, like one might be that they're in a developmental stage where everything feels so overwhelming to them that they're reverting to lashing out as like a default strategy rather than being able to emotionally cope and move through it. We all This is something that we see sometimes with older children who have been really not reverting to any kind of physical lashing out. And then they hit 4, 5, 6, or 7, and all of a sudden they're starting to be physical when they haven't been before. And this can just be one of those times where your child is reaching a new developmental stage and they're really struggling, and then there's just this impulsivity that's coming out at this point. We can also see hitting or kicking come out when a child has seen another child do it and it's become like something that they've just picked up. We don't need to stop them seeing other children doing it in order for them to stop. We can do it through your own child's understanding of their emotions and then feeding that through to behaviours. We can also see hitting and kicking come up just when your child is just persistently feeling overwhelmed. So that can be changing daycares, moving house, changes in your family structure. There can be lots of things that can cause that overwhelm that can really bring out a physicality to their emotional overwhelm that hasn't happened before. So if we look through what are some of the causes that are happening within your child, and then we can look at what to do. So the first one is if your child is so overwhelmed that there's just this emotional impulse that they feel like they have to get the feelings out. And if this is the one that you guess is happening for your child, what we want to do here is actually look for ways to get their emotional regulation back into like a set point that's not at their limits or close to their limits as often. That will mean that they'll have the ability to actually talk through what's going on and understanding, their behaviors, and, we can figure out a solution if they're not emotionally at their limits all the time. So a few things that help with emotional regulation. So the first one will be if you can do this, and before I say this, I do want to just mention that for emotional regulation activities, don't push yourself and make it a pressured thing to make it happen like as often as I say is ideal, because if it makes you stressed out to make sure it happens, that's going to contribute to their emotional set point. So what we want to do is just do what you can of what I'm about to suggest. So one thing is getting their heart rate up while they're laughing every day. So what this does is getting their heart rate up can burn off some of the stress hormones, but making sure that you're also having the heart rate up while also laughing, that sends a signal to your child's nervous system that everything's safe here. Because if we're like exercising for a fun reason, there can't be a threat happening right now. And so that just sends that signal that I'm safe and everything's okay. For some children also, just getting the energy out can be useful as well. They're not got pent up energy. So for these kinds of things, if you can, getting out to a park, particularly if it's got like equipment they can climb, if they're interested in that, like that kind of stuff where it's fun and very physically active, running, chasing, all these kinds of things can be really helpful so long as it's also fun. But if you can't get out of the house because you've got a newborn, or you're physically limited and so you can't get out as often, or even the timing doesn't work, your family's just really busy and you can't get out of the house, you can do something like a silly boot camp. So it's like, how quickly can you run to the front of the house, touch the door handle, run back, hop on one leg, and then pat your tummy? Like just random silly things that are just looking to get their heart rate up and laughing at the same time. That's not achievable. If you can do one or the other, getting them laughing or getting their heart rate up is fine too. And if you're particularly busy, look for ways to thread this through your routine rather than saying we've got to fit another thing into the day. It's like, how can we make this fit into what we're already doing? So that's our first one. The second thing for emotional regulation can be finding a place of flow. So this is something like a meditative state. So for some kids, they actually will meditate. It's not many, but I do always mention it because some kids really will meditate, and if they will, that's ideal. If your child is not interested in meditation, then we're looking for anything that gets them into that similar, very relaxed state in their body. So for some kids, it can be being in the water. For some kids, it's painting or drawing. For some kids, it's stretching, doing kids yoga. There's lots of YouTube channels that have kids yoga on them. Anything that gets them into that relaxed state. And if your child, even if your child is like a toddler to older, I would even ask them, when does your body feel the most relaxed? And see what their answers they come up with. Sometimes they surprise you with what they need. So getting that happening daily as well, really, really helpful to get their emotional regulation into a set point that's gives them a little bit more breathing room. You can also make sure that they're getting enough to drink, getting enough filling food to eat. So talking more along the proteins and healthy fats side of things, making sure that their tummies are full, particularly for younger kids. Like they can go from I'm satiated to I'm starving, and it's impacting my emotions really, really quickly. So just looking at that, how frequently are we eating that's appropriate for their health? So those are the things that I would really recommend in your getting that emotional set point a little bit lower. And for some people, as soon as you do those things, the kicking stops already, and that's great. For a lot of people, that's not going to be the only thing we need though. So we want to look at the next couple of things. So the next thing we want to look at is when we say no to our child, if we say it in the way most of us do in our lives, so not just to children but to other people, the way most of us say no, it really makes children think that we're saying no to what they need as opposed to the thing they're asking for at the surface that is going to meet the need. So it's like if you say no to giving them the pink cup because it's in the dishwasher, if the need underneath of that is to feel like you matter because the baby always gets the bottle that she wants, but I don't get the color cup that I want, the need is that feeling important. And that is the thing. So when we say, no, I'm not going to give you the cup, it might be sweet, gentle, it might be cranky, however which way you're saying it, if we're not connecting with them in a certain way, they're going to take that to mean you're not important. And so that they're not seeing that what they're asking for and what they need are actually two separate things. And so when we say that no, it's this, you are not going to allow me to have what I need, and that is not okay with me. And that then goes straight into the lashing out, right? So in that case, what we want to do is break our no's into 3 steps. The first thing we do is we want to communicate to our child that we understand what is the underlying need, what is driving what they're asking for, and that we think it's important. So it's like, oh, sweetie, I'm wondering if the reason you want the pink cup is because the baby always gets the bottle that she wants, and you don't always get the cup that you want. And that, like, does that make you feel like maybe you're not as important as she is, right? So, and I use a lot of words. You don't have to use as many words as I do. But you can see how I'm really saying, I get why you need what you need, and I agree it's important. Like, that is really important. Then we say, I would give you the pink cup if I could, but it is in the dishwasher and it's dirty, and so we really need to use another cup. Now, it would be valid for a child to say to you, well, can you wash it, right? And so your answer needs to actually be a direct and clear answer. I'm not able to wash it right now because I don't have enough time before we have to go. Or I'm not able to wash it right now because I'm really tired. I've had a big morning, right? We're going to tell the direct and clear answer rather than it's not clean. It's not clean is quite abstract. It's like, well, it doesn't seem like it's an insurmountable problem, so why aren't you giving me what I need? So we've got, I understand what you really need. I agree it's important. Here's why I can't give it to you in the way that you're asking for. And then we want to finish with what is a way that they can get what they need. So that might look like you're going to need to have the blue card, but would you like me to sit down and read a book with you? Now, keep in mind, I'm only offering that as a suggestion, is in theory, I have the time and energy to do it. If I don't, I'm going to look for something else. I will let you know as soon as the dishwasher is finished so that you can have the pink cup next time, right? What we're looking for, what is a way for them to get that underlying need met, as like, so that the need is going to be met even though the request they're making is denied, right? So that's, we break our no into those three pieces. That helps them to hear the no without being emotionally agitated by the no. So that when you start doing that, for some kids, as soon as you start doing it, it will resolve all the issues. That's fine. For other kids, you need to practice. They need some exposure to, yes, this is how it works. I understand. I trust that you really are going to look for ways to meet my need. That can take a little bit of time, but that really helps. Now, the last reason that we want to talk through about how to help your child understand a no without hitting or kicking in response is we want to understand that if your child does not know how to effectively communicate how they're feeling, then they're going to revert to something else, which may be hitting or kicking. It may be saying okay and then doing what you asked them to do, like not to do. It may be drawing on the walls or picking on their sibling. There's all sorts of ways that that expression will come out if they don't know how to express themselves directly. So what we want to do is every time they kick, and if you can, I would be doing it at all times, not just the kicking times, but we want to be actually giving them the words to express what they're trying to get through with the hit. Right? It's like, what are they trying to tell you when they're hitting you? Is it, I want you to change your mind? Is it, this is really important to me? Is it, I don't think you're listening to me, you haven't heard what I'm trying to get through? Like, what is the hitting or kicking? What is it trying to get across? And you want to use the respectful language that your child will understand that reflects what they're trying to get across. And then what we do is we help them, we practice, they're connecting this, okay, these are the words that help me express this sensation that I have in my body. Then that way, over time, they're going to build that up and the kicking will subside. So those are our three things to do. So number one is if you think it's about overwhelm, first what we want to do is reset their emotional set point, give them a little bit more breathing room so that they don't have to be as impulsive straight away. If they are taking your no very personally, they're taking it as like a personal affront, then we want to help them to hear the no by breaking it down into those three steps. And the third one is helping them to learn how to express themselves in the words that make sense to them, that get across how they're feeling so that they don't need to be hitting or kicking. So this is something that it can be solved pretty quickly. So if we think about how we resolve the idea of when my child is upset, they hit or kick, I can normally help parents support their children to address the hitting or kicking within about a month. So we do a session once a week, and we can shift the communication so that the hitting and kicking just doesn't happen anymore. Now, when we go further into this and we look at how do we help your child to really express what they need, how do we help your child to accept an alternative solution to what they need, rather than being fixated on that one thing that they want, helping you to express yourself in a way that your child can really understand and take on rather than react to. When we go through all of these steps, and particularly the step around helping you manage the things that trigger you, so whether that's the aggression that they're having or whether it's even just the problem-solving process. Like sometimes parents can feel like their children are presenting as spoiled, or worrying that your child is just never going to be able to cooperate with other people if they always have to have things their own way. all of these kind of sentiments can bring up some of our own baggage and can make it really difficult for us to stay attuned to the plan. So to handle all of these steps, I generally recommend a 6-month package where we still do those first 4 weeks together, so we get the aggression to subside pretty quickly. And then after that, we're building up the skills for 2 reasons. One is so that they're actually addressing the issue, so they don't spill out in like other behaviors that aren't hitting and kicking but are also not constructive. But what we also want to do is give your child the emotional regulation skills and the communication skills so that they can then use those with other people, so that you're not finding that they're lashing out at other people, but also you're not finding that they're being difficult and uncooperative with other people, or that they're not being assertive with other people. Sometimes we see children who are lashing out physically with their parents, but with other people, they're not lashing out, but they're just acquiescing all the time. And that's obviously still going to be an issue for them in the long term. So in that 6-month package, what we're doing is giving them the skill set so that we're building on that skill set so that they're then able to do things with other people, not just at home. So if this is something that you'd like to do, pop me an email. It's Jodie, Jodie, @jodiethornton.com. And just let me know that you'd like to have a chat about working together, and we can book in a conversation and just see, is that 6-month package the one that's the right next step for you, and how we can make sure that your child is able to really be okay with hearing a no, but also being really assertive with their own needs as well, and being respectful of their feelings. So thank you so much for watching.